Travis Hunter is officially a wide receiver. He goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But is that enough for him to become wide receiver one over Tetairoa McMillan, who goes top 10 to the Carolina Panthers? I'm going to break down both prospects, give you my 2025 projections for each of them, how they fit into the dynasty rankings, and let you know which one of these guys I'm drafting first in my rookie drafts. Of course, we have to start with Travis Hunter, the now wide receiver out of Jacksonville. He's going to be paired up with Trevor Lawrence, which might be the most exciting piece of this whole puzzle. All my projection to this point was that Travis Hunter was going to play primarily defensive back, moonlight at wide receiver, but it seems to be the other way around now. You have him in the Liam Cohen offense. Jacksonville traded up to get him. The initial comments have suggested, they've actually been rather direct, that he's going to play primarily wide receiver. And then you have this key piece of Jacksonville pushing the chips in on Trevor Lawrence, who they have really invested in and are now building a full offense around. I think this is a huge move for the entire Jags offense. And when you put Travis Hunter into the projections, it becomes very fascinating, right? And we're going to get into his full projection here in a second, but to kind of set up the scene, he's going to complement Brian Thomas Jr. very well. If you're a BTJ owner, if you followed the rookie big board advice and drafted a ton of Brian Thomas Jr. last year, do not panic. Do not worry, okay? Brian Thomas Jr., unaffected by this. There was plenty of volume to go around with Christian Kirk moving out, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington, Evan Ingram leaving. There was plenty of vacated targets here. And quite frankly, Jacksonville could probably still add a tight end at some point, and we're totally fine, right? So there's plenty for Travis Hunter. And again, we're going to get into that in a second. What you need to understand, again, when it comes to vacated targets, right, is Liam Cohen, right, who was the offensive coordinator for the Bucs last year, 5th highest passing rate of anybody in 2025. That he's bringing that energy over here to Jacksonville, and Travis Hunter coming to the Jaguars kind of re-emphasizes that. Now, you're going to see when it gets into the projections here in a second, I think the touchdowns will make or break. I think if Travis Hunter is going to be a top 12 fantasy wide receiver, he's going to have to push double-digit touchdowns, right? And that's the big question mark in this offense. You still have Gabe Davis in the mix, right? Brian Thomas Jr. is going to get his, and I don't expect Brian Thomas Jr.'s 10-plus touchdowns to go away. So the question is, how much can Travis Hunter get in terms of touchdown production, especially early on? And that's going to really make or break probably whether you want to take him with a top 3 or 4 pick or whether you want to proceed with a little bit more hesitation. As we get into my actual projection of Travis Hunter here, you're going to see where I land initially. And it's always important to point out, this is the day after the NFL draft. This will get tweaked, all right? But at least for now, I feel pretty good about Travis Hunter. And for folks who were in the Rookie Big Board live stage last night, which was fantastic, you'll see that I've even bumped Travis Hunter from my initial projection. I bumped him up in a good way. I have him at 18% of the market share. That is still the wide receiver too. And think about the fact that you are an opposing defense and you have to choose your top coverage between Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, that is a huge issue to have. That's a big headache. And you're going to see, I think, Hunter moved around the field. There's some versatility in terms of where he can line up. Quite frankly, as a wide receiver, I don't think we've fully unlocked his route tree. I think he can play along the boundary. I think he can play inside. He can win in the short field. He can absolutely win in the deep field. And I do expect Jacksonville to move him around a good amount. I have met 105 targets. That was the big bump. Last night, my initial projections, I had 88. I bumped him up to 105. I'm really all in, kind of reading the big takeaway here. Everything we're seeing from the Jaguars beat, the reporting out is that he really is going to lean into the wide receiver position. I have him at 68% completion rate, right? Whenever I'm doing projections, folks, I'm combining all of their rookie profile, right? The tape, the evaluation I've had, and I'm putting it in the context of the offense. Well, as a rookie, or as a prospect, I should say, Travis Hunter, excellent ball tracking ability. He's able to go up and get the ball. That's going to serve him very well with Trevor Lawrence's big arm. Lawrence is going to be able to lead him downfield a good bit. I like that ability. Hunter's going to have good ball reaction skills. That was super consistent. He's fast, he's twitchy, he's explosive. He's going to separate consistently, and that's going to help increase that catch percentage as well. It's also going to help that yards per reception. I do think Travis Hunter is going to get a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, right? As Brian Thomas Jr. is stretching the field. But those big explosive home run plays, that's going to push his average yards per completion to a really healthy 13.5. If you're not used to projections, like that's a good number for a wide receiver. His receiving yards here, I have him just shy of 1,000 receiving yards, 967, and 6 touchdowns. I mentioned that's the make or break, those 6 touchdowns. If you really love Travis Hunter, you probably want him to be closer to 9 or 10 touchdowns. Having 2 wide receivers at 9+ touchdowns in the same offense is not impossible. It's also not super common to have. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but whenever I'm doing projections, right, I have to play out multiple scenarios, and I have to try to pinpoint what's the most realistic, especially in his first year, as Travis Hunter is still developing as a route runner. And as they're going to have to find exactly the way they implement him and use him in this offense, I'm going to put him at 6 receiving touchdowns. It's a little bit conservative, but I do feel like I've pushed in on the targets so I can balance those 2 elements out. I'm definitely bullish on Travis Hunter overall, and I think he's a really exciting projection. And I mentioned it off the top. I wanted to be excited about Travis Hunter throughout the draft process, but I really wasn't. I didn't think we'd get into this spot. It's hard for me to really picture a better landing spot for fantasy purposes than the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I know that's a weird statement to make, but I promise you, like, this is a really fantastic, this is the high-end range of where we could have landed on Travis Hunter, right? But that's the question. What's the range? What's the limit? And how does that compare to Tetairoa McMillan, who has been my wide receiver one all the way through this draft process? I would say probably since October. Tetairoa McMillan has been my wide receiver one, and he does secure top 10 draft capital, and he lands with the Carolina Panthers. Now, before we get into Tetairoa McMillan's actual breakdown, I want to remind folks, this is fluid. Things are going to change. It's a really good time to get into the rookie big board. The link to join will be in the episode description. And if you join us over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard, you're going to get access to my projections, not only for every rookie drafted this weekend, but every NFL player. They're updated as they're drafted. Within 10 minutes of being drafted, they have an actual projection. I continue to tweak those over draft weekend and over the course of the offseason. You'll have access to my rookie rankings and dynasty rankings and Devy rankings. So you can not only compare where Travis Hunter falls in terms of the overall rookie rankings, you can compare him to current dynasty wide receivers as well as Devy assets as well. You want to figure out how I feel about Travis Hunter versus Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith? You could get that as well. Personalized advice in the Rookie Big Board Discord, one-on-one draft consultation calls. Oh, folks, and by the way, the Monday after the NFL draft, 120-plus page rookie guide with a profile on every single rookie drafted this weekend, and probably some rookies not drafted. All that available for just $5 a month. Win your rookie drafts with the Rookie Big Board. All right, let's get into this Tetairoa McMillan breakdown now. This, I know on paper, Carolina, it's not the most exciting landing spot, but you have to follow volume. And this is where folks have gotten themselves in a lot of trouble in the past. And I'm not going to draw one-to-one, but I am going to start by giving 2 examples of a time where folks have not followed the volume and have gotten themselves in trouble. 2 very recent examples, Malik Neighbors and Brock Bowers, right? And obviously, I'm not projecting Malik Neighbors' volume for Tetairoa McMillan. That was 167 targets last year. But, you know, we really slept on him. By we, I want to clarify, I do not mean me. You can pull the receipts. Type Brock Bowers into your YouTube under the Rookie Big Board channel. I promise you can pull the receipts on Brock Bowers. I was all in on him. And part of the reason was folks were overthinking the quarterback play. And I don't want us to overthink the quarterback play on Tetairoa McMillan. I first off will say, I think Bryce Young is going to take another big step forward this year. But even if he doesn't, even if he performs at the same level, Tetairoa McMillan is still fine for fantasy purposes. He is going to be the clear X receiver in Carolina. That's what Bryce Young needs. This is what the Panthers have been looking for. You know, they've thrown picks, Xavier Legette. They've taken shots at trying to get Bryce Young some good weapons. This boundary X athletic, great ball tracking wide receiver, that's what they need. When you think about what Tetairoa McMillan brings as a prospect, he brings excellent hands, a fantastic catch radius. He goes up and attacks the ball. Miss me with this lazy narrative, folks. Absolutely miss me with this lazy narrative. He does not look lazy. When he's attacking the ball, when he's going up and mossing defenders, he does not look lazy. He's got excellent athleticism, and his large catch range is really going to help balance out some of the timing progression and timing issues that Bryce Young still has, right? So I really like this fit. He's going to be along the boundary. He's going to stretch the field. And when you're looking at the opportunity for volume, you really cannot find a better spot than this, right? He's going to step in and immediately be the dude over Xavier Legette, over Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker's not dead, folks. We don't have to give up on Jalen Coker just yet. But Jalen Coker was never going to be the X receiver, right? I mean, it is clearly running through Tetairoa McMillan here. And although, Chuba Hubbard has been a very good running back, he's not stealing a ton of targets through the passing game either, right? On top of that, you really don't have touchdown competition either. Again, Xavier Legette not stealing touchdowns. I mean, David Moore, Jatavion Sanders, who is stealing the touchdowns? And again, even Chuba Hubbard, he's solid in the red zone, but it's not like he's a Jonathan Taylor, right, who you're going to want to give the rock to in the red zone. I think Bryce Young is going to be looking McMillan's way often in the red zone. Now, all that to be said, I do have to be fair. And as much as I'm willing to follow the volume in the situation, I do want to point out I'm not oblivious here, right? And I totally think it's fair if you're proceeding and saying, I don't trust Bryce Young. I don't trust this coaching staff. There's a lot of unknowns and a lot of variables. But when you lean into the variables and when you lean into the volatility, that's where we find volume or find value, I should say, for fantasy purposes. So we're going to find value and volume as we get into Tetairoa McMillan's actual projection here. I think that should help paint a little bit of a picture, a jump out, like what you might be seeing from McMillan this year. I have him with a 22% team market share. And again, folks, if you're not comfortable with the language of projections, that's totally fine. 22% is really good. It's not the absolute max, right? Like last year, Malik Neighbors had about 27% of his team's market share. Marvin Harrison Jr. had about 20% of his team's market share, right? So I have McMillan somewhere in between those two guys, and obviously different offenses, different contexts, all that. But just to give you an idea in terms of overall relative volume compared to the passing attempts in their offense. That gets McMillan for me to 116 targets. That's a good number. If you want comparative rookie seasons, by the way, I should point out, I mentioned when I do projections, I look at long-term, or I look at the player's tape profile as well as the offensive context. I also use a database of rookie production back to 2018 to try to find comparative values, right? And the comparative rookie lines here of 75 receptions on 116 targets. A.J. Brown is a rookie. Chris Olave is a rookie, right? If your head, if compartmentalizing and conceptualizing all of these numbers doesn't quite work for you, think comparative to A.J. Brown or Chris Olave rookie seasons. That gets him over 1,000 receiving yards, and it gets him 8 touchdowns. All right. And I feel like the 8 touchdowns might even be light. Like that is me being conservative with not knowing if this offense is going to take a step forward. If this offense takes a step forward, I think he's at 10 touchdowns. And that to me is the biggest difference maker. And I know I keep coming back to this touchdown number, but when projections can be so close, especially at the wide receiver position, those touchdowns are going to make a big difference between separating, who's the wide receiver 1 on a week and who's scoring as a wide receiver 2. As we pull up the tail of the tape here, what you're going to see is we have Tetairoa McMillan coming in at wide receiver 19 in 2025 seasonal projections. Rookie season this year, scoring as the wide receiver 19. That's a wide receiver 2, top 24 wide receiver. That's a really awesome spot to get a wide receiver here at 102, 103, 104, even 105 in your rookie drafts. I have Travis Hunter just a little bit lower, wide receiver 29. Which might make me sound like a little bit of a hater here, but that's still a top 36 wide receiver, folks. That is a weekly starter. That is an impact player for you. And I think when you're drafting wide receiver 29, you can draft that with the idea that, again, this projection may be a little bit conservative. So you might be saying, all right, if I could take a floor of wide receiver 29 and go for that upside on top of that, like I'm willing to go for that. I think McMillan has less range to him. I think he could score as high as wide receiver 12. I think he could score as low as, let's say, wide receiver 26, 27. I think it's a little bit tighter. Travis Hunter, he could score as high as wide receiver 6. He could score as low as wide receiver 45. Like, I really believe he's got much more of a range, right? Rookie ranking, Travis Hunter is coming in at 6 overall on the rookie big board right now. He's coming in at wide receiver 2. Tetairoa McMillan, he's been 2 on the rookie big board. His projection was spot on. This is where I expected him to go in terms of volume. This is where I expect him to go in terms of draft capital. Carolina was a team that I had him pegged for a little bit of time now, leading up to the draft. He's still my wide receiver 1. The Dynasty ranking, McMillan is wide receiver 14 in Dynasty, Hunter wide receiver 22. I expect to have more exposure to Tetairoa McMillan because I think that Travis Hunter is probably going to go in a very similar spot. I think that there's going to be drafts where Hunter, even in Superflex, goes 102. I think there's going to be drafts where he goes 103. And I would say there's probably going to be about a 50-50 split between drafts where Hunter goes first and McMillan goes first. So when I'm comparing those two guys and projecting the exposure that I'm going to get on them, I'm projecting that I'm going to have more Tetairoa McMillan, 26 to 40%, good exposure. But I'm also going to make sure to get some Travis Hunter. I'm not going to pay up for him. I don't think I'm going to use the 102 or 103 on Travis Hunter. But if he's there at 105, 106, and I think he will be in some rookie drafts, that feels good for me. That feels like the right risk point, and that feels like the good spot to get into the excitement here in the upside of Travis Hunter. Because there is a lot to be excited about with Travis Hunter, but there is just as much to be excited about with Tetairoa McMillan. And I don't want you to lose value in your rookie drafts just because we've known Tetairoa McMillan was really good for a long time. And now we're just kind of getting excited about Travis Hunter, right? In terms of being a full wide receiver. So McMillan, wide receiver 1, Travis Hunter, wide receiver 2, 2 really good choices. But at this point in time, if I'm choosing between them, I am going to give the edge to Tetairoa McMillan. Folks, there is so much rookie content coming out throughout day 2 of the NFL draft, all NFL draft weekend. Going to be reacting to some big landing spots coming up. Make sure you're subscribed. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this breakdown. Let me know what you think about which wide receiver that you'd rather have on your fantasy football team at cost. I'm legitimately very excited to hear about it. I want to hear this discourse. I want to talk through it with you. And I'm going to be back real soon with some more rookie content.